Hello everyone, I'm Michael Coliani, Public Affairs and Media Relations Director for your Arizona Game and Fish Department. And today on Arizona Wildlife Views, a look at possibly one of the most stunning demonstrations of raptors in flight you'll ever see up close. Plus, you see them everywhere in the wild and in the suburbs. We'll show you why you need to be careful with those wily coyotes. And later, it's the most relaxing multitasking you'll ever do. And a look at a game and fish project that required a step back in time to complete. We've got all that and more. Arizona Wildlife Views starts right now.
Arizona Wildlife Views is brought to you by the sale of hunting and fishing licenses and the Heritage Fund, lottery dollars working for wildlife. Some projects made possible by the Sport Fish and Wildlife Restoration Fund.
Despite living in our beautiful desert, the opportunity to see wildlife like raptors up close is still pretty rare. But at the Arizona-Sonora Desert Museum, raptors take center stage, where you can see these beautiful, majestic creatures take flight right over your head. Take a look.
If you're new to birding but aren't able to get out into nature to view wildlife, the folks at the Arizona-Sonora Desert Museum outside of Tucson have created the next best thing. It's the Raptor Free Flight demonstration.
It is a really unique presentation of birds of prey and some other predatory birds held right here in the Sonoran Desert. We really want to inspire people.
Believe me, viewing these raptors up close and in person is very inspirational.
I think it means more when you see a bird up close. Having birds go right over your head, hearing them in your space, it's a much more visceral reaction. What we want to do is inspire people to make little changes that help wildlife in their daily lives.
Visitors get to see a variety of raptors during the presentation.
We never guarantee a species. Our morning demonstration is usually a pair of Chihuahuan ravens, a great horned owl, crested caracara, and then a family group of Harris's hawks. A few of the natural behaviors you would have seen with the Harris hawks this morning would have been perching, soaring, landing on saguaros. We do a practiced hunt where we move a little machine that throws food around the demo site area and then launches choice pieces for the birds to find, keep it interesting for them. And then social interactions you may see is the birds establishing their dominance hierarchy every day. So usually it's pretty low key. A bird may perch on one thing and the other bird comes up and takes their seat basically. Sometimes it gets as far as some yelling and some squabbling, but that's usually what it looks like.
Some of our birds are trained to soar, and I understand that that doesn't happen elsewhere in the country, and several of our birds will go up in the sky hundreds of feet, thousands of feet, depending on the day.
We are very fortunate to have very enthusiastic audiences. Our audience members are usually blown away. I don't think us warning them ahead of time for how close birds will go always sinks in until you're experiencing it. We've had people just, they're grinning so hard you think their face is going to break in half. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of enthusiastic folks.
The Raptor Free Flight demonstration only runs from October through early April, so don't miss your chance to come see these magnificent birds up close for yourself.
Still ahead on Arizona Wildlife Views, kayaking and birding, two fun activities that you can do together, and we'll show you how and where. But first, the Arizona Game and Fish Department is working hard to repair old waterways that wildlife depend on for drinking water. And as you'll see, the department had to resort to some old school ways to repair these water catchments.
Bill Marks is taking us for a ride in the Blue Range Primitive area.
a place he's called home his whole life.
This is Steeple Canyon we just crossed, and we're headed towards Hinkle Springs.
The Cow Canyon fire burned more than 30,000 acres here in 2020. The effects of fire and time left natural dirt tanks that provide water for wildlife and cattle in need of repair.
Part of what follows a fire is some soil movement, and we've got a lot of silt in these little dams, and so he's in here cleaning these tanks out, mainly in June when they dry out to where he can get in there with his teams.
Oh, there you go. Now, G.
KT and crew, along with the help of Arizona Game and Fish Department, are restoring these tanks to functional water sources again. This project was made possible by donations from people like you who support Arizona Game and Fish Department's science-based wildlife conservation efforts. Since our agency is self-funded, every donation made through azwildlifehero.com supports the work we do to conserve and protect Arizona's 800-plus wildlife species. Rehab of each dirt tank can take several days since the work has to be completed with manual labor using hand tools, horse and mule teams, and non-motorized equipment.
We're here in the blue primitive area, and with that, you know, it's kind of treated like a wilderness area. You can't just unload a truck or use a helicopter to bring in equipment. No machinery, so we've kind of had to resort to, you know, what I call old school methods.
It is hard work restoring these watering holes, but KT sees it differently.
I guess playing in the dirt.
KT and Vince modified a Fresno scraper and also a spring-tooth harrow. Farm implements like these originated in the 1800s and were used prior to tractors and modern machinery.
This is what they call a tumblebug. It's the next generation of a Fresno. It was designed to be walked behind with levers, and I guess I'm just lazy. I figured out how I could ride the thing. Vince is running the harrow, and Tandy is just looking out for rocks, roots.
You and I just horsebacked in for 3 hours, but they have to bring all the equipment here, all the supplies for the mules and horses, food for themselves, the tumble bugs. And then on top of that, you know, the next tank is anywhere from 2 to 5 miles away. So it can take, you know, a couple days to get set up.
Dirt tank repair in the Blue Range primitive area began in 2019. 10 dirt tanks have been completed so far, and more than 20 are proposed for completion by 2030.
Birding and kayaking.
There's another one too to your left. A little farther away though.
Two outdoor activities that go great together. That's why the wildlife viewing and boating safety folks at Arizona Game and Fish hosted a day on the water at Watson Lake in Prescott.
One of the requirements for a life jacket to be considered a legal life jacket in the United States is it has to be U.S. Coast Guard approved. And that approval is on the label. So in Arizona, 12 and under have to wear a life jacket. For paddling, as an adult, you don't have to wear one, but you're literally inches away from a swim. And so it just makes good sense to be wearing a life jacket. If you're not wearing a life jacket, you still have to have one on your vessel with you. It has to be accessible. It has to be the right size, and it's got to be in good condition. Same thing with stand-up paddle boards. People want to go paddling, they want to go bird watching. And so you embed the safety concepts in something that they want to do. They're more likely to retain it that way too when it's connected to an experience.
We take people out on kayaks so they get to learn about paddling and safety and doing that. And while on the boat, something you can do is watch for wildlife. So get some binoculars with you and you're good to go. This is a great blue heron. We see a lot of cormorants today.
The variety of birds out here was awesome, and hopefully I got some good shots.
Oh, the scenery here is awesome. The scenery is incredible. I mean, Watson Lake is hard to beat.
I don't have my own kayak, so events like this, where the kayak is furnished, is really a great opportunity for me to get on the water and get to some places that you can't get to on land.
Aren't they pretty?
You can often get a lot closer when you're paddling. You have an opportunity to get to where the birds are.
Yeah, you're down at the water level, you're quiet, you're just in stealth mode.
And we can get back into those little nitty-gritty grooves where there might be some really cool species that we wouldn't normally see on the outer edges, like if we were, say, hiking or walking around. So it does give that sort of advantage, definitely. Oh yeah, we saw tons of species. I think I counted 21 today. I don't know if you can see, but here's a starling right here.
I never really looked at some of these birds up close, and it's amazing some of the detail on them.
But yeah, and we could not have asked for a more beautiful day today. It was a perfect day today.
Are you kidding me? I mean, it's a beautiful day, outdoors, get to see all different types of wildlife, hang out with people who are in the same boat as you. No pun intended. Lots of goose this year, lots of goose.
We're at the Horton Creek trailhead and currently rigging up the fly that I'm going to start out with today, and it's a black semi-seal leech. It's just a fantastic rod to use on these small Arizona creeks. It's a 7'6", 3-weight 6-piece made by Douglas, and it's their upstream model. We're going to be hiking up Horton Creek. We're just going to go out and see what we can find. It's great to learn the basics on small creek fishing, especially here in Arizona, and I would say Horton Creek is one of the best ones. This stream, it's a special regulation water for our wild brown trout. It is catch and release. All fish must be released alive. Single barbless hook, artificial lure and fly only. When I fish these small creeks, this is the only box I bring. I got an assortment of dry flies on this side. So when I open the box, I have a lot of terrestrials, some cicadas, hoppers, stimulators, foam ants with some orange wings, black beetles, and then elk ear caddis and purple haze. Those are all great dry flies for rim country and beyond. And then on the other side, on the top I have various nymphs that I'll tie on with indicators, and then I have a few small streamers that I often like to throw. When I moved here in 2018, this was the first creek I went to and my first wild trout in Arizona.
Because you're going after like the spiders and everything that's coming off?
If you're first learning to fly fish, it's a great place to get your bearings on how to read a stream.
We caught two so far. Ben caught his first one and landed his first one, so it's been an awesome day.
It's one of the most popular spots for your Arizona Wild Trout Challenge to get a brown trout entry. Be stealthy, as stealthy as you can. Approach these pools slowly. Don't just run up on them. Kind of evaluate what you're seeing in front of you. We got our first wild brown trout of the day. Beautiful fish. So these fish in Horton Creek, they were stocked back in the early 1900s when people settled and moved to this area. They brought the fish with them that they were used to catching, and brown trout was really popular. I'm switching to this little streamer. It's kind of a jig head style. It has a tungsten head, which is going to sink significantly quicker than my prior fly. So that's going to get down in the water column underneath these waterfalls where I can strip or jig it. And it's kind of like a leech or bugger pattern. Really effective fly on these creeks. In the net. You want to wet your hands because you don't want to touch the fish with dry hands. It'll damage their slime coat. It's been fun doing all the different western states and trying to check them off the list while, appreciating the fisheries and the wildlife and the landscape. I post the most on my personal Instagram page, Rim Country Angler. Occasionally I will post on Fish AZ, that's our department fishing Facebook page. I'll give information on different stockings, and occasionally I'll put a personal post on there on any fishing adventure I'm doing that's local to Arizona. I kind of work these pools quick. I try to get several good drifts or casts into spots where I think the fish are going to hold. And if I don't get any fish within those drifts, I just move on to the next one and kind of hop to the different pools as I work upstream. I'm always jazzed whenever I get a bite. It doesn't matter like how big it is. To me, it's kind of the unexpected. I mean, you expect to see a bite in some of these pools, but when it actually happens, it just gets me going. It's a lot of fun. Flybrary. If you don't have one, take one. If you have one, leave one. These are brown trout, so they'll have an assortment of red, purplish, black dots, yellow to white belly. Sometimes they'll have really pretty spots on their adipose fin, which is this back fin here. You can kind of see it's got some orange to it, and those are always pretty. And I'm giving them some little drinks, keeping them in the water, keeping them wet, practicing good fish handling. Really pretty fish. This is a beautiful place right below the rim. A lot of cool wildlife. Finally! Fish are always the bonus. If anything, you just get a great hike out of it.
They don't call him Wile E. Coyote for nothing. Clever, cunning, sometimes hunting in pairs, they are making their presence known in Arizona neighborhoods. Most of the time, they keep their distance and avoid people. But it makes sense to be aware of their presence and behaviors and to be prepared for anything that could occur. If you see a coyote near your home, don't ignore it. The coyote may lose its fear of humans, which can eventually lead to bold behavior. If you see a coyote outside your home, shout and make noise. Bang a metal pot with a wooden spoon. Use a whistle or air horn. Shake a tin can filled with pebbles and coins. Maintain eye contact. Wave your arms if you can. Throw something non-lethal at them. Spray them with a garden hose, but don't turn and run away. The coyote may view it as an opportunity to chase. Remove attractants from outside your home. Secure your garbage containers. Feed your pets inside and never leave them unattended, especially at dusk or dawn when coyotes are most active. Coyotes will even eat fruit fallen from trees, so pick that up as well. And never feed wildlife or leave food out. If you see a coyote in your neighborhood, call 623-236-7201, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is a public safety message from the Arizona Game and Fish Department.
The Apache trout was one of the first species listed under the Endangered Species Act.
I'm really proud and delighted to announce to you today that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is proposing, through the Federal Register, to delist the Apache trout due to its recovery.
It's the first native trout and the first fish species of the Southwest to be proposed for delisting.
The other trout have been delisted, but that was because they were already extinct.
Our state fish, native only to here in the White Mountains, and so exciting.
This area over here considered very sacred to our people here. Water, a lot of the water originates from here. We come out here to witness a very important resource that we have here, Apache trout.
Welcome to our Fort Apache Indian Reservation of the White Mountain Apache.
Ord Creek originates up there at about 10,500 feet and is home to one of 17 relic populations of Apache trout, one of the densest Apache trout populations on Earth.
Being on Ord Creek was really special. The Endangered Species Act has been around 50 years, and this species was listed before that, and White Mountain Apache tribes started to protect the species in the 50s. So, we're over 70 years working to recover this species.
Apache trout conservation started in 1955 when the White Mountain Apache tribe closed many of its streams to angling.
Got all these partners that we work with, and all get together, and I think with that we kept moving forward, and that's what made us get where we're at.
Apache trout from Ord Creek were used to establish replicate populations back in the 60s. A gabion barrier was constructed in 1977, and Ord Creek was chemically treated to remove brook trout.
Non-native trout are a major threat. Removing them from Apache trout recovery streams and building barriers to keep them out are key conservation strategies.
The service and our partners who are here today have been able to achieve the recovery plan's delisting criteria of 30 self-sustaining, genetically pure Apache trout populations in Arizona.
Of course, our work's not done, not by a long shot.
Apache Trout Recovery Partners consider the Apache trout to be a conservation-reliant species, which means that we know that they'll require some level of management even after recovery goals for self-sustaining populations are met.
This same partnership transfers Apache trout eggs to the Arizona Game and Fish hatcheries each year, which enables the Arizona Game and Fish to provide thousands of Arizona's anglers an opportunity to catch this uniquely Arizona species.
Arizona's state fish, the Apache trout, was listed as endangered in 1967. After more than 50 years of recovery efforts, it was removed from that list on September 4th, 2024.
It's a huge accomplishment, and we're very, very happy and proud.
It's a major victory for the Endangered Species Act, but it's not the end of Apache trout conservation. Work will continue to monitor and maintain healthy populations of Apache trout.
Thanks to the visionary and determined conservation actions led by the White Mountain Apache Tribe, the Arizona Game and Fish Department, USDA Forest Service, Trout Unlimited, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Apache trout has a promising future in Arizona's streams and rivers.
That's going to do it for this edition of our show, and until next time, get out there and enjoy our Arizona wildlife views.
To subscribe to Arizona Wildlife Views magazine, which includes the Arizona Wildlife Views calendar, visit www.azgfd.gov/magazine.